So good morning. Today we're going to do a bone building class, Pilates based, and it will be safe for anyone with osteopenia, osteoporosis, and obviously safe for anybody who doesn't have that bone condition. So let's get started. We'll start standing. And I'm actually going to ask you to sorry, I'm going to move my notes here. I'm going to ask you to just stand with your feet parallel, hip distance apart. And I'll ask you to close your eyes, and we're just going to see where we are in space. So don't fix anything, just observe. Going from your head, where does your head sit? On top of your shoulders, or maybe a little bit in front of your shoulders? Where do your shoulders sit relative to your rib cage? Are they a little forward? Are they naturally a little back? Or are they sort of centered? And where do your ribs sit in relation to your pelvis? Again, are they a little bit behind, a little bit in front, or maybe they're stacked right over top of your pelvis, your hips? And your hips, do you feel like you're in the center of your body, or do you feel like your hips are pushing a little more forward or a little more in the back? Don't adjust anything, just see where you are, your knees, and we're going to go right down to our feet. And how do you feel in your feet? Do you feel that your pelvis is centered on your feet, or do you feel like you're a little rotated to the right or to the left with the pelvis? Where do your pubic bones point? Do they point straight forward, or do they point off to the side? And do we have our weight equal in both feet? Are we more in the left foot or the right foot? Are we more in the front of the foot? Or are we more centered, or are we more in the back of the foot towards the heel? So just observe. Okay. And then we're also going to take our stick just for a reference point at the beginning of the class, and we'll come back to this at the end. And I'm going to get you to take your stick and just put it, touch it at the sacrum, and see when, again, you're naturally lined up and you can close your eyes. Does your head naturally come in contact, the back of your head come in contact with your stick? Or is it a little bit forward? Don't force anything, just observe. Is your stick touching between your shoulder blades and touching also at the sacrum? Or are you pulled a little bit more forward? Don't change anything, just observe. And then we will get started building our bones. So we're starting with a march. You're going to move your arms, move your legs. Okay. So as we learned at the workshop, if you have osteoporosis, which is a minus 2.5 T-score or lower, you would keep this a low impact. But if you're higher than a minus 2.5 osteopenia or normal bone density, you're going to start to step this up and really stomp your feet. Stomp your feet. I want you to make lots of noise so that whoever is with you in your house is going to come and say, what on earth are you doing? You're stomping, 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 moving your arms. So we want that impact. That impact speaks to our bones and says, whoa, little builders, they need to build new bones. So the more stress we put on the bones, the impact will help do that. Let's stop here. We're going to start to stomp just your right foot, up and down. Little bend in your left knee. A little bit faster. Want to tire out the muscles. We're going to let that leg dance a little bit. So it's going to go out to the side. You can turn it in and out. So we're working a little bit in the hip joint here. You're still getting the impact. It's like you've got a dancing leg. Going back to our march. Are you adding impact in your heels? Yeah. Back to your left leg, up and down. It's like you're trying to really stomp something through the floor. A little faster. and you feel your muscles starting to work, we're gonna make that leg dance. It's going in and out. A little bit of internal rotation, a little bit of external rotation. All right, let's stay here. Ball of the foot stays down. We lift and lower the heels. So I do this, I think, almost every class. You would want to do it with impact. Really let it shake your bones. Yeah. So feel your thump of your heels into your floor. Yeah. Okay, I see some sweaters coming off already, so that's good. We're getting warm. Not just me. Good. I want you to feel your calves working. The higher you lift, the more you thump, the more those muscles are working. So backs of the calves should be really speaking to you now. We're going to step one foot back and we're going down with the heel to get a nice little stretch for the calf. Down and up. Let's lengthen out the arms. Lengthen out the arms. So adding a little bit of balance into this exercise. You're breathing. Breathing so important. Really stretching and out through the entire back of the leg. Let's do the same thing with the other leg behind. So we're stepping back and sending the heel toward the floor. Becomes a little bit of balance. Good. And it's always critical to work on balance when we have osteoporosis in particular. But seriously, as we age, we need to work on balance for fall prevention. So anything we can do to challenge ourselves, to challenge our balance, even if that means brushing your teeth, standing on one foot, we should be doing that. All right, let's come back to center. We'll have our hands just at our hips, and we're going to do some tiny little squats. So you're sending your hips back in space. Knees are going forward in space. Let's take the arms up and bring the arms forward. And really sit back. I want to wake up the muscles around the hips. The hips are key to our spine sparing strategies, right? To be able to move through our day without rounding our spine, we have to be able to flex at our hips. A little bit of brain gym, our figure eights. Keep the knees coming forward, keep the knees hip distance apart. Reverse them. Very good. We'll put our hands to our hips and we're going to step our right foot forward, left foot back, and you're in this little split stance position. Really sit the hips back and bring your hands to the just above your knee, okay? And here we'll start to tap our forefoot up and down. So even being in this position is demanding. So we're tapping, lifting, tapping, 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 tapping. We want to feel the shin working. If you find this too much, feel free to go down onto one knee. And then we're going to start to swish from side to side. Okay, so we'll truly try to keep this knee still. And it's like you're sweeping a spot on the floor with the ball of your foot. That's it. And then we'll come back to standing and we'll do those hips, little squats again. hinging at the hips. Send the hips back. So a little more dynamic, just to keep that heart rate going for you. Couple more times. And then we'll step the right foot back, bending at the hips. We're shifting our weight into the back foot. We're lifting the toe in the front. So adjust your legs so that you can stay balanced. Hands can be on the outside of the knee. We're lifting the forefoot up, 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 up. Keep that going. So we're pulling on the tibia with those muscles, tibialis anterior in the front of the shin. We're going to start to swish from side, 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 side. Again, just make sure that the knee is and the leg is not moving. It is just the ball of the foot. And you're probably starting to feel your quad working, maybe your butt working a little bit. Good. Keep that going. Little swish, swish, swish. Good. So remember when we pull them, when the muscles pull on the bones, it gives that little electric charge, and the builders will build more bone. All right, let's come to standing. We'll do a couple more little hip hinges. Or sorry, mini squats. And then we are going to go into a hip hinge. So I want you to tip forward. You can bring your hands back to your hips or maybe even back by your side. And you're going forward with a flat back, sending your hips back in space. If you could imagine that you have eyes in the back of your butt, you know, like the old-fashioned dolls where the eyes open when the doll stands up and the eyes close when the doll lays down. When you want your eyes to open when you bend forward and your eyes close when you stand up. Well, that's a really fun image. And when we used to be in class together, you'd be sort of opening your eyes to the person behind you. There we go. Also feels a nice stretch through the whole back of the leg. A little bit of balance here, but also working with the muscles around the hips. We're going to stand tall on your left leg, and we'll start to swish your right foot forward and back. And make contact with the floor. So the ball of the foot is actually brushing the floor in both directions. Be as tall as you can be in space. Good. And then we'll take that leg out in front. We're going to circle it all the way around to the back, all the way around to the front, and all the way to the back. Quite likely you'll start to feel the muscles on the outside of the hips. If you need to hold on to something for balance, do so that we can really focus on the movement of the leg bone in the hip joint. And if you're okay with the balance part, pull up from the inner thigh. Good, let's do the same thing with the other leg. So weight bearing on our right leg, we'll start to brush left foot forward and back, forward and back. Good, a little bit of contact as the ball of the foot brushes the floor. Your leg is going back in space. You may feel the buttock behind, you may feel the side of the hip, and you may feel your support hip. When you feel about the same on this side, we'll start to go around in a circle and back. Well, it's a semicircle. It's like you're tracing a rainbow around the left side of your body. A little bit of contact in the front, contact in the back. Beautiful. Is it easier on this side? Is it harder on this side? So it's really a controlled movement. We're not just swinging the leg aimlessly. We're moving with purpose here. Good. And then I'm going to ask you to back up to your wall. I'm going to make sure that your feet aren't going to slide out on you. So bare feet will always be better or safer. Want to make sure that if you're on carpet and you have sock feet, your feet don't slide away. So we're going to try and get your hips to the wall, your shoulders to the wall. Maybe your head can go to the wall, maybe it doesn't. Don't force anything right now. We're just observing again. We're going to take our hands, palms facing each other, and we're going to see if we can get those shoulders back to the wall and possibly the elbows. For me, that's a huge ask. So see where you go. Let's lengthen out the arms to a V and bring them back to a W. How does that work for you right now? Are you able to get your head back to the wall or not? Do your hands, your elbows slide against the wall, or are they away from the wall a few inches? Just observe where you're at, and we'll see if we can't improve that by the end of the class. All right, so we're going to come up, and this time we're going to grab our weights. So we're holding our 2 or 3 pound weights, palms are facing the ceiling, and you're going to keep your elbows close to your rib cage. And we'll start to do a little hip hinge again. And if you could close your eyes while we do this movement and just feel how we've increased the work for the muscles along the spine. So we can talk back extensors, we can talk deeper than that with the multifidi, the muscles that keep you in a good posture, that keep our bones lifted one on top of each other. Close your eyes. Feel if you have some action there. Make sure the shoulders aren't up by the ears, the shoulders are relaxed, your elbows are close to your ribs. And if you really want to feel the difference, you'll drop your weights and do that without the weights. Feel the difference. So without the weights, the muscles are working, yes, but when we add just a little bit of resistance, so I have 2 pound weights, so I've got 4 pounds of resistance here, I feel my back extensors working a lot more. I hope you're able to feel that also. All right, let's bring our hands behind our head. Elbows are wide. You want to be able to see your elbows in the corner of your eyes or in the periphery of our vision. And we're going to think about lifting breastbone up towards the ceiling. So inhale, lift up, and come back to neutral. And we'll inhale to lift up and come back to neutral. So in a normal class, I might go into a curl forward with this exercise, but with osteopenia, osteoporosis, we just go to the back extension and back to neutral. We don't want to do that forward flexion. That's what puts our bones at risk for a fracture in our spine. Inhale to lift and forward. And again, inhale up. And I hope that you're able to feel the connection with the muscles in the upper back, between the shoulder blades. Again. And up. Very good. Changing that slightly, we're going to go into a tiny side bend. I'm going to come closer. And we'll have one hand just above your head. The other hand, the flat part of your knuckles are going into your rib cage. So again, the other movement we want to minimize with osteoporosis or osteopenia is a big side flexion. So you're going to put your hand here and you're going to move your rib cage with your hand just a little to the side and back up. So we want these movements to be small and controlled. Make sure that we don't shrug this shoulder up by the ear. So again, so that's versus a big side bend where you're moving more in your lumbar spine. We're actually trying to do a lateral flexion with the bones inside your rib cage. Let's go with one more. And you may feel just an opening on the other side. So we'll switch hands. Hand above your head. Good. A little press with the hand into the rib cage, a little side bend. And make sure that you're not rotating as well. So it's gonna be really easy to rotate. I want you to keep it small and just a tiny little side bend. Keep it small, keep it safe. And that's because, again, of the structural quality of the bone in the vertebra, the trabecular bone that we talked about in the workshop. All right, so from there, we're going to go to a hip hinge. We're going to bend our knees. We're going to bend our elbows, palms are facing each other. And we're going to pull the arm bones back into your shoulder joints. We're going to extend the arms and bend the elbows. So that same movement that we did against the wall, maybe feeling for the muscles between the shoulder blades. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed down. They're not shrugged up by your ears. You're reaching out. So there's one version with the knees bent. And you can straighten the legs. You can go into a bigger hinge and lengthen the arms and back. So this is a great exercise. We're working against gravity. We are asking a lot of the spinal muscles to support you in this position. The muscles between the shoulder blades. After 8 to 12 repetitions, your muscles should be speaking to you, letting you know that they're working, maybe feeling a little fatigue there in the muscles. Let's think about drawing our tummy in to support us in this position. Good. Make sure the palms are facing each other. Let's go for a couple more. So you're doing your version with your straight legs or with your bent knees. If you start to feel anything in your low back, you bend your knees. Trying to feel for the muscles along the spine and between the shoulders. Good. We're going to pay attention to our transitions today. I don't often cue that in a regular class. So we are going down and onto our back. We're going to be cautious how we get there. So we can go hip hinge, bend the knees, one knee down, two knees down, onto hands and knees. Then we're going to pivot our hips, come down without side bending, and now you're on your back. All right. Where did we put our weights? Bring your weights close to you, one on each side of you. All right. So we're settled. We're on our back. Your head is on the floor. Of course, you would not have rounded your spine to lift your head up to see where your weights were. You would redo the whole sequence and get your weights beside you. I'm sorry, I should have cued that first. All right, so your hands are just by your side. You can allow your spine to relax. We're going to inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, let's draw our lower belly down toward the spine. So think below the belly button. Maybe think of the pelvic floor lifting. And release that again, we'll inhale. And as we exhale, let's draw lower belly down toward the spine. Spine is not moving, spine is staying neutral. And again, lower belly toward the spine. Let's move a little more up the belly. So separating our belly into 3 sections, we're now drawing down at the belly button. So that's more in your mid belly. Inhale to expand the rib cage wide. Exhale, we'll scoop down around our belly button. So in the middle of your tummy. And again, exhale to scoop, draw down in your middle belly. Let's bring our hands to the ribs. You're going to let your fingers come just around the lower part of the ribs. We'll inhale again. And exhale, we'll start to scoop the muscles just under your fingertips. And again, breathe into the rib cage as you inhale. As you exhale, focusing on the upper tummy muscles, you're drawing the upper belly down, almost like you feel those muscles like they want to pull your fingertips under your ribs. Again, no movement in our spine. And exhale. Make that good connection. All right, let's pick up our weights in our hands. And we're going to have the palms face each other and let our weights touch. So whether you have dumbbells or soft weights like I have, just make sure that you don't drop them on yourself. That's your responsibility. We're going to start to draw some circles with the balls toward the ceiling. Elbows are straight. And you'll start to feel, hopefully, that there is a tiny little bit of rotation in the spine here. I would deem that to be a safe rotation. It's controlled. There's no excessive stress on the vertebra because we're in a nice long neutral spine. Do you feel the oblique muscles starting to work? You can let your shoulders, your arm bones be heavy on the floor. If you don't have osteoporosis, you can make this movement really big. But if you do have the osteoporosis, you'll keep it smaller, or osteopenia either. Reverse those circles. Again, I always feel that it's so much easier to connect with what's happening inside your body with the eyes closed. So feel free to close the eyes. Feel how there's just a little bit of action for the oblique muscles while we do this exercise. That's on the sides of the waist. Good. And we're going to separate the hands. We're just going to cock the wrists a little bit. So it's like your weights are sitting on a pedestal, if you will. So right now I have my palms facing in, my wrists are straight. I'm going to cock my wrists back so that my weighted balls are now sitting in the palms of my hand. And we're going to push the balls up to the ceiling. Let the shoulders come back to the floor and draw the shoulder blades together underneath you. And we'll press the balls to the ceiling or your weights to the ceiling, and shoulders come back to the mat, shoulder blades together underneath you, and press up. Shoulders come down together, press up. Shoulders come down towards each other, and again, we'll press up. So we may not get as much movement as we would if we were on hands and knees, because we've got the floor in the way, but you want the idea that the shoulder blades can slide almost like they try to touch each other, but they most likely can't because of the floor. That's okay. Good. And then we're going to bring those weights down. You're going to put your hands together, press your palms into each other. Your elbows are bent. Okay. And we'll do a little isometric here where we're just pressing the hands into each other and feel how your tummy reacts to that. Let's float one heel up and two, and we'll start to move the right leg in and out. So doing our pistons, encouraging the movement of the leg bone in the hip joint. Press a little harder with the hands. Feel the muscles around the rib cage, maybe in the back of the shoulder, but also in the upper belly probably. Let's do the same thing with the left leg. So the leg is moving in and out. Good. I hope you're able to feel the whole front side of your belly. Maybe connecting your lower abdominals a little more as you exhale. And then let's go into pistons walking. So we'll switch one leg for the other. If you find this is too much and you're working in your back, you'll keep one foot on the floor and alternate the legs. Okay, you choose. And don't cheat. There's no nice way to say that. You want to make sure that you're doing the progression so that, because if you just do this exercise and you only feel your back, then we're never going to build the strength in the abdominals. So it's important that you take the beginning steps to strengthen the muscles before you advance the exercise. All right, let's put our feet down. We're going to bring our hands down. We're going to turn, actually we're going to stay right here, pressing hands down into the floor, push down in your feet. I want you to feel like you're lifting your bones off the floor, but not your skin. And then we'll let the hips come down. You're going to press down into the feet and float your bones off the floor. So it's very tiny movement. Then you're going to take your hands and put them on top of your weight. So if they're the nice soft balls, that feels good. If you've got dumbbells, it may not feel quite so nice. But we're going to press our shoulders down into the floor, press our hands down into our balls or your weights, and you'll feel quite likely your tummy muscles engage. We'll slide the hips up and we'll slide the hips down. Now remember, we're not going to go super high if we have osteopenia or osteoporosis. It's like an inch, maybe 2 off the floor, so that we're reducing the amount of stress that we're putting on the front side of the vertebra in our spine. Because if we go really high with the shoulder blades on the floor, then you're actually getting a forward flexion, right? So you're trying to keep this as neutral as possible, and we're pressing our shoulder blades down in the floor, but this is a great little exercise for the muscles between the shoulder blades. We're working the whole back side of the body, honestly, with this exercise. You feel your gut, your bum muscles working. Let's press hips up one more time. And I want you to push your shoulder blades down into the floor, release, shoulder blades down into the floor, release. Again, we are working those postural muscles, the ones that help us be in a good alignment in our spine. And you should hopefully start to feel those muscles working. Your palms are pressing down into your weights. Your shoulder blades are pressing down into the floor and back, and down into the floor and back. Let's do 2, 3 more. And at some point along the way, hopefully the muscles have started to let you know that they are alive and well and that you are working them. You're asking them to do something. Good. Let's put our hips down. Right, so just moving our weights aside, we're going to roll over and onto our side. One hand on the floor, you're pressing yourself up to your elbow, and then you're coming up with your spine intact into a position on hands and knees. All right, so actually I'm going to take my watch off for this exercise. My watch really bothers my hand with this exercise. So not this one, but the next one. Anyway, we're here, hands and knees, a little natural curve in your lower back, and we're sliding shoulder blades together, shoulder blades apart. Shoulder blades together, shoulder blades apart. So similar to the exercise we did on our back, but now we probably have a lot more movement in those shoulder blades than we did with the floor in the way. All right, let's do a little bit of impact for our wrists. So we're going to take our hand, we're flat hand, we're starting to tap the floor. All right, so if you have osteoporosis, you're probably not going to do this, or you're going to keep it really light tap. So that's when you're minus 2.5 or lower on your T-score. Osteopenia, yeah, go ahead. Build that bone, and it should start to feel almost tired in your wrists. Let's do the same thing with the other hand. So we're doing the tapping, tapping, tapping. So that little bit of impact. Again, impact, gravity, muscle contraction, that's how we build bone. This is not something we do every day, is it? All right, let's come to a kneeling position. We'll take our weights, one in each hand. Hands are here, palms facing up, elbows are close to your ribs. You're going to sit your hips back. And again, so we're doing a hip hinge, but from a kneeling position this time. If you don't like it from kneeling, go to a standing position. Hips go back, hips go back. And again. And then we'll bring our hands down by our side. You're going to turn your palms to face the back of the room. We'll hinge at our hips and we'll start to move the arms away. Okay, we've got straight elbows at this point. Make sure the collarbones are wide. Can we scoop up in our tummy? Are you breathing? Looking to feel the muscles at the backs of the shoulder blades, possibly the triceps. Let's keep the arms behind and we'll bend and straighten the elbows. Beautiful. And we're going slow. If we go fast, you're not going to feel the same work. If you go slow and you have 2 to 3 pound weights, it's tremendous amount of work between the shoulder blades, around the shoulder blades, back of the shoulder, back of the upper arm, and even a little bit with the wrists. All right, we'll drop those weights. We're coming onto our side. So again, you're going to sit. You're coming over to your side without a side bend. Knees are bent, elbow underneath your shoulder. We're going to lift the rib cage up. So if the rib cage is collapsed down, you'll lift it up. So you're in a nice neutral spine. Hand can be on your hip, pressing down with both knees. We'll slide the hips up. We'll touch down lightly and lift again. So we are weight bearing. Great. We're working against gravity. I hope that you feel the bottom side of your waist working. Let's lift up. We can hold here. If you'd like a little more work, extend that leg. A little more work, take the arm up toward the ceiling. We hold, we breathe. Drawing your low belly toward your spine. And we'll bend the knee, bring the hips down. Let's come over and onto hands and knees. So without rounding your spine, you're just pivoting onto your hands and knees. All right, so here we're going to take this same, the leg that was underneath you is the leg that's going behind you, okay? And the opposite arm is going out in front and we'll lift and lower, lift and lower. Press up, down, up, down. So I wanted the same leg that you were resting on to be the leg that's behind you, because now we're going to lift them up and we're going out to the side and back, out to opposite sides, back to the center. Go slowly and you'll feel that it's the same side waist that we were working, your bottom side waist, same one that's getting the work in this exercise. We're working obliques. And these are really great alternatives to traditional crisscross. It's a traditional Pilates exercise where we're crossing underarm to the opposite knee, where we got flexion and rotation. All of these types of exercise are great alternatives. So let's go on to the other side. Again, pivot at your hips. Come on down to your elbow. Feet are behind you, knees are forward. Elbow pulled back, shoulder pulled back. Lift the rib cage so your spine is neutral. Hand on your hip, we'll slide the hips up. Come down, touch lightly, lift. Touch lightly, lift. Good. You can always stay with this version. Want you to feel that bottom side waist working for you. And then we're going to hold it here. Hold it and breathe. Where is your head in space? Can we back it up a little bit? Do you have a good alignment for your spine? Is your tummy working? Can we straighten out that top leg? Can we take our hand to the sky? Good. Abdominals are scooping. You're getting that lift from the bottom side waist. And then we'll bend our knee. We'll bring our hips down. And we're going to come onto hands and knees again. This time, the leg that's going behind you is the leg that you were resting on, okay? And we'll take the top arm out in front and we'll lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Up, minimizing any movement in the spine. We're working from the hip joint and the shoulder joint. And then we'll keep lifted. We go arm and leg out to the side and back. And out to the side and back. And again. Feeling again that bottom side waist working for you just a little bit more. This is your oblique exercise. Also a balance exercise, a postural exercise, and a weight bearing resistance exercise because we're resisting gravity. Beautiful. Let's pivot again. We're coming onto our back again. I'm going to ask you to put one of your weights on each side of your mat before we get down there. All right, so onto our side. Nice and safe. You're turning legs. It's like you're rolling like a log so that we don't increase any or cause any rotation or side bending in the spine here. All right. So hands are going to come over top of your head, not over your head, over top of your chest. Elbows are bent, palms are pressed into each other. Press down in both feet, press into your hands, and we'll lift those hips up and we'll lower the hips. Press down in both feet, feet are parallel, lift the hips and lower the hips. Again, press down both feet, lift the hips, lower the hips. We're going to take the arms over the head toward the floor and then back up toward the ceiling. Press hips up, hips come down, hands glide over the head. Keep a little bit of pressure on those hands and then hips to the ceiling. So we're alternating these exercises. Feel how the tummy works as you take those hands that are pressing into each other over the head. Glute muscles working and abdominals working. Let's go with one more of each. Hips go up, hips come down, and we'll take the arms over the head and back up. We'll grab our weights again. So let's take our weights up to the ceiling and we're going to turn our palms to face the knees or the feet. And you're going to cock the wrists again, okay? Let's press our hips up toward the ceiling and back down. So again, just 1 or 2 inches, not super high. We're going to press the hips up again. We're going to take our right arm back over our head, 45 degrees to the ceiling, and then the left arm's going back over the head, 45 degrees, and back to the ceiling. Let's alternate one and then the other. And you'll feel probably that the triceps do a little bit of work. You may feel a little bit of work in the back side of the body. Maybe around the shoulder blades. Maybe it's just your glute muscles that you're feeling. All are good. Let's bring those hips down. This time we're going to lift the hips and you're going to scissor the arms. So one arm going down by your hips, one arm going over your head. Hips come down when the hands are at the ceiling and we'll switch. So this is quite an interesting exercise, in particular for the wrists with the hands cocked. And when we take that weight, depending on how much weight you're using, when we take that weight down by the floor, it actually becomes a fair bit of work for the wrists. And you want to control that. It's not fast. We're doing these nice and slow. Good. Let's go again. Hips go up, arms scissor, and come down. Let's turn our hands so the palms are facing in, but you still have the cocked wrists. We're going to scissor the arms as the hips go up. Good. And it may feel like it's almost impossible, so go slow. Look at good form. Try not to bend the elbows. Try and work. With the straight arms, the hips come down. Scissor the arms. So especially when the arm gets at the end range, maybe you're going to want to bend the elbows. So really try to control that. And maybe you need lighter weight if you're not able to control that, or maybe no weight. Let's come back. And now we're going to turn our hands so that the palms are facing over your head. This one's a really interesting position. Keep the cocked hands. Feel what is different around the shoulder blades, just being in this position with the weights in the hands. Then you're going to start to lift. So you've got one hand palm going toward the floor, the hand down by your hips, the palm is facing the ceiling. And we'll switch. Ooh, a little bit harder, right? Keep the cocked wrists. Do not drop the weights on yourself. So have a good grip with your hands. Feeling a little more work for the back of the shoulders, for the back of the body. Let's go for one more in each direction. Hopefully that's going well for you. Make sure you're breathing throughout. And then we'll bring our hips down. Let's turn our hands so that the palms are facing the ceiling. Again, you've got the cocked hands, if you straightened out your wrists, your palms are facing your knees. Okay, let's tighten up our tummy and we'll send one leg up and two. So going with a little bit more abdominal work here. And we're going to make sure the hands are right over your shoulders. We're bending your elbows, cocked hands, and we're pressing those weights up toward the ceiling. So make sure that your hands, your elbows are directly over top of your shoulder. And when you're pressing up, think of drawing your elbows down towards your shoulders. And if you've got a little bit of shake in your muscles, that's great. That means those muscles are working. Can we do another 4 like that? 4, 5, 6. But go slow. Can you tighten up your tummy to help you maintain a nice neutral spine here? It's getting a little more demanding, right? The slower we go. And so we probably have 1 or 2 more to go in our repetitions. Are you feeling the muscles in the wrists and the forearms working? Are you feeling your triceps working? Are you feeling the muscles around the shoulders and your tummy? Good. Let's stay right here. We're going to send both arms over your head 45 degrees as we extend right leg out and pull back. Extend left leg out and pull back. Are you able to maintain lumbar spine neutral? If not, put one foot on the floor and just do one leg at a time, extending and straightening. So you can do that. Are you feeling the upper arm working? Good. Let's turn our palms to face each other. If you're okay with the both knees up, you'll stay there. Again, the cocked wrists, and you're going back. And again, exhale. Is one arm position more challenging than the other? Because when we change our hand positions, we're changing the position of the arm bone in the shoulder joint. So it's really nice to work all of those muscles around the shoulders. Keep that going. And back. And again. And back. One more time. And then we're going to turn our hands. Again, palms are facing over your head. We'll take those arms back and up. So this is super challenging. Try not to arc your back. Try to keep that little cock in the wrists. Go where you can go, that you're able to keep the elbows as straight as you can. Scoop down in your tummy. And one more time. Good. Let's put our feet down, bring our hands down, and we're going to turn ourselves like a log and come right over and onto your tummy. All right, we'll have our hands one on top of each other, forehead resting on your hands. I'm going to go a little bit longer since we started a little bit late. Forehead resting on your hands. Legs are long. We'll scoop our belly. And we're going to just lift our head up, backing your head up off the floor and back down. Okay, so we'll tighten up our tummy and we'll back our head up off the floor, pressing down with the arms into the mat. And again, tighten the tummy, back the head up off the floor and return. This time we'll tighten the tummy and we'll lift head and hands together and then back down. Tighten the tummy, back head and hands up off the floor. So these are our alternatives to any curl forward exercise in a traditional Pilates class. Any of these extension type exercises, we are working the postural muscles. This is bone building for your spine. And down. Let's take the arms out. So they're out on a W or a V position. Tighten the tummy, draw the shoulders back, and we'll lift head. Let's add those arms and come on back down. So again, more challenging. Tighten the tummy, draw the shoulders back, lift the head, lift the arms, lift the chest, and down. One more time. Backing head up, arms, lift, lower, and we're going to come to forearms, press up onto knees, and here we'll do a nice little slide, hips back and front. So our spine is staying long as we do this. Okay, spine staying long, nice little stretch for the back, stretch for the shoulders. Keep that going. We'll do a couple more. And then let's come over and onto our side. So where are we at for time? Couple minutes. Well, maybe we'll go 5 minutes longer today. We're going to straighten out your bottom leg, straighten out your top leg. Flexed foot, we're going up. So these exercises are equally as important as the ones that we do for the upper back and for the shoulders. To have strong muscles around the hips, very important. So we're lifting and lowering that leg. Our ribs are lifted. If you find this too much, you go down on your side and support your head in your hands. Let's bring that leg forward, point back, flex forward, point back. Again, flex forward, point back, flex, and point. So ideally, we start to feel a little bit of work around the hips, sort of behind your side seam on your side hip. Here we're going pointed toes. We're going with circles. I do want you to feel the muscles working, again, to fatigue. A little burn here. Let's reverse those circles. Good, let's bring that leg forward, step it in front of the other leg, lift the bottom leg up and down. So the inner thigh is equally as important as the outside of the hip. The inner thigh should be 90% the strength of the quads. And we don't spend that much time working on them. You want to feel this muscle right up to the pelvis from the inside of the knee. Let's keep the leg lifted and we'll do some little pulses here. Good. Are you able to maintain a nice long neutral spine like this? If you can't, then you should be side lying with your head resting in your hands. All right, we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to let you do that however you feel you can do it best. Maybe hands and knees. Me, I have to turn myself to the other end of my mat. And then I'm going to go down and the other elbow. Let's straighten out the bottom leg, straighten out the top leg, lift the rib cage, position yourself well, your head is pulled back. We're going up and down. And the slower we go, the more work we're going to have. So momentum kicks in if we go too quickly. So it's really nice to keep it slow and low, or slow and low. We actually want to go as high as you can, but keep your hips stacked on one on top of each other. So it actually doesn't get very high. We'll bring the leg just about hip height, kick front, point toes, kick back. Flex foot, kick front, point toes, kick back. Flex again, forward, point, kick back. Feel the muscles working all around that hip, side, and maybe a little bit into the back of your butt. And then we'll bring our leg long. We're going to go with some circles here. And reverse your circles. Have you started to sink in your rib cage or your shoulders? Lift yourself up. Let's bring that leg forward in front of the other leg. And we'll flex the foot. We're lifting and lowering here. Up we go. So we're working against gravity. This counts as resistance. And your leg is actually 1/3 of your body weight. So do the math. Your leg is actually pretty heavy. So it actually counts as a resistance exercise, although maybe you never thought of it that way before. Let's keep the leg up and we'll do some little pulses. Up, up, up. Keep breathing. Excellent. We'll bring the leg down. We're going to come over and onto our hands and knees. And we'll sit the hips back. Bring ourselves up to a standing position. Let's grab, let's go against the wall. Oops. And you'll step your feet out and see where we're at now. If getting your head back against the wall is a little bit easier or less effort. And we'll take our hands up, palms facing each other, and we'll see if we can't get those elbows and hands against the wall. Do they go there now? Scoop your tummy and don't let your back arch away from the wall. Almost feel like you want to imprint your spine here. And we'll slide those arms out and back and out and back. So I have one hand, one elbow that is a little closer to the wall and one that is not. That's work that I need to do. And it wouldn't be uncommon that it would be different for one arm than the other. Okay, so just see what that is for you. We're going to step away from the wall. Let's grab our dowel. So you're going to grab that in a safe way by hinging at your hips, not rounding down. Those are the hardest movements to change, the habitual movements. We'll take our stick behind your hips. Where does your head rest now? Is it a little easier for your head to be against the dowel? Can we hinge at the hips? Can we maintain that 3-point contact? Head between the shoulder blades and the hips. Again, hinging, hinging. See what that does for you. Let's take our stick away. Again, hinging at the hips to put your stick down, not rounding our spine at all. And I'll ask you to close your eyes and just see how your body stacks up now after this last hour of bone building and posture building exercises. Where is your head in space? Does it feel like it's a little more on top of your spine? Your shoulders, maybe they're a little more over top of your hips. Your ribs maybe a little over top of your hips. And where is your body weight? Is it more in your heels? Or is it more centered in the foot? Or is it more in the toes? I'm really hoping that you're going to feel that you're a little more weighted in your heels. And let's take a big breath. Open the eyes. Inhale. And exhale. And again, we'll inhale, reach the arms up. Hands coming together, hands coming to the heart. I hope you enjoyed this hour and learned some safe movements and good ways to build our bones.
That was great, Sherry.